Thank you very much for coming. We're very excited to do this new version of Carnival of the Animals. I'm sure all of you have heard Carnival of the Animals before. This is a version for solo piano and new poems by David Gonzalez. I'm very excited about that. I want to tell you just a quick history of Carnival of the Animals, which is quite unique. Saint-Saens in 1886 wrote this piece for his students to perform at parties. The first performance actually included Saint-Saens himself at the piano. He played it 2 or 3 times in Paris. Franz Liszt heard about it. This was during the last month of Liszt's life, and he asked for a special hearing of the piece, and they gave a private performance of it for Franz Liszt. But soon after that, Saint-Saens decided that the piece was perhaps a little too popular, and he didn't want his reputation to be made from this particular work. He wanted to be considered a much more serious composer, so he banned performances of it, and in his will, he stipulated that after his death, the piece would be released to the public and would be allowed to be performed.
It's good he's dead.
It has been tradition in the past decades to perform Carnival of the Animals with poetry, and in particular poetry by Ogden Nash, very quirky, humorous poems with lots of plays on words. But those were written many decades ago with references to figures from the 30s and the 40s, and so a little bit dated. More recently, we have other poets and writers who have written poems. I think David has written amazing poetry for our performance, very metaphysical and philosophical, as well as humorous. And I'll let David say a few words about that.
Writing this piece is a joy, and the genesis came from Pat Garalnik here, who knew Frederick and knew myself, and she said, "Why don't you guys get together?" And so this piece is dedicated forever to Pat and all her good work here. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Now, Frederick said this was somewhat philosophic, except the first line, ain't. The lion. Here he comes, my main man. Swaggering, swinging low. Bring him a chair. No, a throne of his own, 'cause he's the boss of the jungle. Head honcho, mucho macho, king of the ring. Doesn't need to prove a thing. He's a natural-born leader, first-in-line eater, deep sleeper, sunbather, soothsayer. Never gets ruffled, barely gets in a tussle, lets the ladies use their muscle. He's got gravity like the center of the universe. This cool cat is the feline felon, witness, jury, and judge. Order in the court, order in the court. The lion is coming. Listen to him roar.